In late July of 2012 last year, my family and I took a trip to Washington D.C. No trip to Washington D.C. would be complete without a tour of the White House. Unfortunately, Michelle and I were not able to fully enjoy the tour because Nicholas was being his normal self. He's a menace! He's a beast! He's a deceptively cute little ball of ever-wailing tears. After the White House fiasco, we were overjoyed when Mish's parents volunteered to watch Nicky while he was napping. This gave us the opportunity to visit 3 monuments in Washington, D.C. without Nicky in tow. First we hit the Washington Monument. Then there was the World War II Memorial, which was absolutely amazing. And finally there was the Lincoln Memorial, which was like, hey, that's nice, let's rest now. Well, there's probably something I'm forgetting to mention here. We decided to go on our little adventure on probably one of the hottest days in the summer. For 5, 10, 15 miles or whatever it is we walked. According to Google Maps, our entire journey from point A to point B was only a little more than a mile. Of course, Google Maps doesn't have a setting to account for 4 people who probably spend on average less than half an hour a day doing physical activity. We had to cover that distance with only a limited supply of food and drink. And that wasn't enough. Not in this heat. You're standing there doing nothing and your body is starting to sweat kind of hot. We were pleasantly surprised to find that inside the Lincoln Memorial is a little air-conditioned area where we could replenish ourselves and cool off for a bit. After regaining a little bit of our energy, we had to figure out how we were going to get back without collapsing along the way. The smartest thing to have done at this point would have probably been to call Mish's dad up and begged him to come pick us up. But we decided to go a different route. After inquiring at an information booth, we learned that another metro station lied a bit closer to us, just up the hill. There were 2 things missing from the information we acquired at that moment. One was that up the hill was not a metaphorical statement, and 2, that a little bit closer meant just under a mile away rather than just over a mile away. Still, since we didn't know how far the second train station actually was, we were optimistic that we can get there relatively quickly. All we had to do was motivate Jacob and Alyssa to keep walking. See, at this point, they were done, and they were asking Michelle and I to carry them up the hill before us. Carry a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old up the hill? I don't think so. Dude, what were our options? Did we have any options? That's when a marching tune I had learned from my dad creeped into my head. You gotta get home on your left and right, you gotta get home on your left. I picked up my legs in military fashion and started chanting like a drill sergeant, commanding my troops forward. Like magic, they were refueled with renewed energy and motivation. They loved it. They started kicking up their legs too and made the march forward, sticking at my pace. I never got out of the drill sergeant character for the entire time and decided to add a little something to the marching routine to liven it up a bit. You gotta get home on your left and right. You gotta get home on your left. Quack, quack. You gotta get home on your left and right. You gotta get home on your left. Quack, quack. At that point, we became a military company of quacking ducks. My wife told me afterwards that I looked pretty ridiculous and that people all around me on the street were looking at me strange. I guess seeing a formation of military ducks walking up the street is a strange sight. But what should I care of what onlookers are thinking? My task is to keep the kids motivated, get them up the hill, get them to the train station, and get them back home where we can rest our tired little feet. Mish was the only one who didn't participate in all the fun, which earned her the nickname Peps. Come on, Peps! Get some pep in your step. Keep up with the company, Private Peps. Your marching style is unacceptable. You are a disgrace to your entire company. When we finally reached the Foggy Bottom station, it was as if angels had descended down from the heaven. Quack. I doubt I could have made it up the hill without that marching ditty. Never underestimate the power of song. And never underestimate the power of quacking and flapping your wings. So I want to thank you, Dad, for teaching me that song. It really came in handy that day and added a lot of fun to our crazy adventure. company. Halt!